Well, good morning. So my name is Eileen Riley, and I'm a proud coalition board member, and I'm the Vice President of Economic Development and Refugee Services at CAMBA. And this is CAMBA's 40th year of providing services to connect people with opportunities to enhance their quality of life. I now have the pleasure of introducing our next 8-minute solution. Hannah Calhoun is the Managing Director of Blue Ridge Labs at Robin Hood. She will provide an overview of their work helping individuals with early-stage social ventures. Please join me in welcoming Hannah.
Hello, I'm Hannah, and maybe more importantly, I am the last thing standing between you and lunch, so I am going to try to keep this quick. So I run a program inside of Robin Hood called Blue Ridge Labs, and we're a place where we bring communities and technologists together to try to design and build new solutions that support low-income New Yorkers and the great organizations that support them. I think often we think of tech as sort of being this somewhat foreboding source that's changing the future potentially for the worse. We actually think there's a lot of opportunity for technology to support low-income workers and low-income households across the city in ways that empower them and support great community-based organizations. And we know that that's true because a number of the groups that we've worked with over the years have gone on to do exactly that. So there's 1.3 million people across the country who currently use Fresh EBT to save money on groceries and manage their food stamps. They were one of the very first teams that we worked with. There are thousands of New Yorkers across the city who work with Just Fix, and there are partners in the legal aid organizations and tenant organizers to really figure out how do you go out and fight landlords who are trying to kick people out of apartments on the edge of the wave of gentrification. Now, those sorts of tech startups are really different than what might come out of Silicon Valley, and we think to get there you actually have to go through a very different process. And that's what I've been asked to talk about today. And so I wanted to do that by really focusing around 3 of our organizational core values. So this one's the most important. We start from a place of understanding that people are complex. They have many identities, they have a lot of overlapping and diverse needs and strengths, and so when we're sitting here talking about workforce, as you all obviously know, we're also talking about childcare and healthcare, access to affordable housing and transportation systems. We're talking about reentry, we're talking about language learning, right? These things don't happen in silos. And if you're gonna figure out what that means people really need and how these things overlap in their lives, you can't just rely on statistics and reports. You need to go out and talk to actual humans. And so a big piece of our program model is this initiative called the Design Insight Group. It's a community of 1,000 low-income New Yorkers from across the city who participate in paid research opportunities. They come in for interviews and focus groups, they answer surveys, they test products, they let us come and visit them in their homes, follow them around when they go grocery shopping, go with them to the office to apply for government benefits. And those interactions are where most of the most important insights for products actually come from, right? It's 45 minutes into the conversation with a woman about employer benefits where she says, "Do you think I should get married? We want to get married, but I'm worried that if I get married, I'm going to lose my Medicaid. How do I make that decision?" Right? It's the guy who shows up to talk about applying for jobs as someone coming out of the justice system and says, "I have this USB drive. It's got a really amazing PDF resume on it, but I apply for all my jobs on my mobile phone, and I don't know how to get this thing from here to there, and then I don't know how to edit it, and I don't know how to attach it to a job application," right? So we're asking ourselves, gosh, is there a way that tech can help these people solve these problems? So that's where we start. Step 2 is this notion of getting to redefine who gets to be in the room where it happens, right? Way too often when we do tech development, a very, very small subset of the population gets to be involved because they have the technical skills, because they have access to risk capital, and we prioritize their involvement and their perspectives, even though they really don't know a lot about the issues. So our model is very focused on finding people who are really close to the problems and bringing them on in and giving them an equal, if not a more important seat at the table. We do this in a couple of ways that are worth mentioning. So one of the programs we run is this summer fellowship. It's 4 months long. We bring in 15 or 20 mid-career individuals, and we say, come spend 4 months with us. We're going to try to go out and do a lot of research, come up with ideas for products, test them really quickly, and figure out if there's something here that's worth building a startup around. This summer, the focus for that program was on making jobs work for working parents. So we spent a lot of time talking to a lot of the folks in this room. We recruit 4 types of people as fellows. The first 3 types are technical people, software developers, designers, product managers. But our 4th set of fellows are our experts. So those folks are coming with decades of personal or professional experience on these topics. They're coming from community-based organizations, from academia and research. They're coming from the community organizing and advocacy community. In many cases, they're coming from our Design Insight group. They are themselves low-income working parents trying to figure out how to make all of this work. So they're there on a day-to-day basis doing the work alongside the techies, and their job is to make sure that we're staying really grounded in the needs of the community and the best practices from the field. Beyond just the fellows, we also build into the program a lot of engagement with a really wonderful set of partners and practitioners who come in for brown bag lunches, participate in interviews, let us visit them on site. Again, many of the organizations at this conference have actually been a part of our summer program, and we are so, so thankful. The work would not have been possible without all of your help. We don't just talk to them once either. We bring them in at the beginning. We bring them in when we're making decisions about which concepts to move forward. We bring them when the concepts are still in development so they can give feedback and tell us all of the ways that we're getting it very, very wrong. It's how that we know that we're building things that people actually want and will use. So finally, we have a really strong bias towards learning by doing. Why is doing so important? Well, I guess what we have found is that the best way to figure out all of the ways you've made bad assumptions about the way the world works is to get out there and see if you can make it happen. Now, doing is hard and it's risky, and we try to do things in very small, cheap, quick, very low-risk ways. Now, the cheap, quick, low-risk way to build a technology product is a technology product that doesn't do all the things that you want it to do. It usually doesn't do most of the things that you want it to do. It is undoubtedly the ugly version of the thing that you want, right? It's not shiny, it's not sexy, and in many cases, it's not a technology product. A really good example of this is that one of our teams this summer is trying to help folks with limited English proficiency interact with the institutions they need to go and spend time with in order to build lives in New York City. So the doctor's office, their kid's school, the bank. When they were doing their testing, before they wrote a line of code, they created a bunch of paper handouts that had core vocabulary for that specific context and a series of phrases that were sort of laid out like Mad Libs, where you could think about putting particular words or numbers into those sentences. They took a big stack of the ones that related to healthcare and they left them in waiting rooms at family clinics around the city, and then they hung out to see what happened, right? Are people picking these things up? Are they actually pulling out a pen and trying to use them? Do they take them into the appointments with them? When they come out of the appointment, have they tried to use English in a different way, right? What words or phrases do they wish had been on the piece of paper? What were they looking for that doesn't exist yet? Those sorts of interactions can help us learn so much about whether or not we're barking totally up the wrong tree and need to change the approach, or if there's something there and it's actually worth spending the time and the money to commit something to software. So, in summary, we think sort of the way to drive innovation in the workforce space, if you want to do it through startups, and particularly through technology, sort of starts from 3 places: putting humans first, redefining the room, and getting out there and doing the thing. I know that that's something that a lot of you do already, and if that's you, we'd really love to find ways to work together. So thank you very much, and enjoy your lunch.